Turkish Airlines presents Business Africa.
Hello and welcome to this new edition of Business Africa. I am Deayoka. The headlines of this episode. The African film industry is gaining a wider recognition as works produced on the continent are featured at international festivals. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, a gold mining project in the east of the country aims to eradicate smuggling. Finally, Africa's largest oil refinery has been launched in Nigeria. The factory should help reduce chronic fuel shortages. African film production has been growing rapidly in recent years. Nigeria's Nollywood is the most emblematic one. However, the economic potential of the sector remains largely untapped in most parts of the continent.
Africa has long been a source of inspiration for the world. Now, its stories are being told by the continent's own talents. In recent years, the African film industry has experienced unprecedented growth. While the success is partly due to streaming platforms like Netflix or Amazon, one sector established itself a long time ago: Nollywood. The Nigerian film industry is the second largest in the world after Bollywood. Producing almost 2,000 films a year, it's the country's second largest employer after agriculture. But Nollywood aside, African production has grown rapidly elsewhere on the continent, led by Côte d'Ivoire and Senegal. A record number of African films premiered at this year's prestigious Cannes Film Festival, including 2 in the main competition. The new generation of filmmakers is trying to assert itself internationally, but distribution across the continent is more than sporadic. The UN cultural organization UNESCO says Africa is the most underserved continent in terms of cinemas. In addition to the lack of infrastructure, the industry also suffers from low funding. In a report published in 2021, UNESCO estimated that the African film and audiovisual industries could contribute as much as $20 billion to the continent's GDP.
Is the future of cinema in Africa? Nigerian film producer Sheyi Babatope joins us to tell us more on this. Welcome to Business Africa, sir. Nigeria's film industry, Nollywood, has managed, unlike others, to establish itself without any streaming platform. What is the secret of this success?
The thing about Nollywood, you can't take Nollywood out of the construct of Nigerians really are travelers and wanderers. Like, we're in a lot of different countries, and wherever we go, we take our culture with us, and we're very loud people. You know, people have taken those little DVDs or back in the day, little players and share them with other people. And that's the basis of the Nollywood secret sauce, if there really is one, is because Nigerian people are really global continental travelers, and that's really it.
The industry is still globally underdeveloped on the continent, yet the potential exists. What needs to be done to unleash it and improve distribution, for instance?
For sure, we can do a lot to improve the distribution. That requires investment. It requires real targeted, particular type of resources that are geared to the audience. Netflix, Amazon really were not part of the conversation in the earlier starts of what the Nollywood, Nollywood renaissance has been, but they're here now. Yeah, the potential of it is really vast. That cannot be denied. But any kind of potentiality doesn't guarantee success because the work still has to be done to cultivate it.
Some African producers have denounced what they call a sort of censorship of African cinema in the West, notably. Are you of this opinion?
In this degree, I think we're censored. I'll tell you what I mean by that. I think people in the West, they're comfortable seeing us in a certain type of light. They're comfortable seeing that. If it's a story about female genital mutilation, if it's a story about genocide, if it's a story about a discovery of a mineral resource and Africans are killing each other, those get made easily if there's a white savior there, whatever the case is. But when I want to talk about like Black people falling in love, Black people building their society, African people taking ownership of their resources, it's like, oh, well, nobody wants to see that. Really, why not?
I hear what you're saying, but in many African cinemas, most of films that are screened are Hollywood productions. For example, you won't necessarily get to watch a Chadian movie in a cinema in Lagos. Isn't that the problem?
You're correct. I mean, you are right. Once we harness the capacity to really make money and we are in control of it, all these things will change. You know, it'll be like a domino effect. If this Chadian film can make its rounds in Chad and really be so well done that it's undeniable what its brilliance is, right? It becomes just good business to make sure I watch it in Lagos. At the end of the day, like every African country has, like, we have the unique kind of struggle of like, there are other things that are happening that needs infrastructural resources. Because we have to do all of this from nothing, and the little that we're doing, we're trying to build it up. That it takes so much to tell a story, and then it takes so much to try to sell the story.
Streaming giant Netflix recently announced it would expand operations in Africa. What does this mean for production companies like yours? Is it good news?
It can be a good thing if they do things the way they should be done. So the expansion idea is a brilliant thing for sure. If they talk to the right people and they talk to really creative and brilliant people, then this will have a multiplier effect.
Shea Babatope, thank you for answering our questions.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Congolese experts say the illegal exploitation of gold finances armed groups in the east of DRC. Joint venture Primera Gold aims to solve this issue by selling legally gold mined by artisanal miners. The soil of the mountains in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo is gold-rich. Ore deposits have for years fueled trafficking and smuggling to neighboring countries, though. Last January, the Congolese government and the United Arab Emirates launched Primera Gold, a joint venture that buys gold dug by artisanal miners in South Kivu province and sells it legally and transparently. The goal of the venture is to eradicate smuggling.
This company's objective is to contribute to the fight against fraud and illegal mining and trafficking. Until now, this significant traffic network has benefited and continues to benefit neighboring countries, mainly Rwanda and Uganda.
Many in Bukavu welcome a commendable intention. Still, they fear it is hardly applicable in a sector plagued by fraud and corruption. In 2022, only 34 kilograms of gold from South Kivu were declared for export. Benjamin Bissimwa reveals everything else was not officially reported.
If a ton, or let's say more than a ton of gold, crosses the borders of South Kivu province every month, where does the money used to buy that ton of gold come from? Not from the banks. It is not traced at all in the official channels, and this is the source of the great evil that the state must address.
Another concern is that the Congolese state owns 45% of Primera Gold and the taxes and profits reserved for its coffers. Miners on Nyenyezi Hill in Luhili then ask, what about community development? The mine is considered a pilot site, pioneering the traceability approach Primera Gold is promoting.
Our message to the authorities is that they should also think about us. We are the children of this country and we are suffering.
Primera Gold has managed to export 1 ton of gold in less than 5 months of operation. Company officials acknowledge that there is still work to be done on the social front. After a 7-year-long wait, Nigerian businessman Aliko Dangote has kept his word. Nigeria's biggest oil refinery has been launched. The plant, which will start operations later on, has a capacity of 650,000 barrels of crude oil per day.
The largest oil refinery on the continent has been inaugurated in Nigeria. Authorities hope it will help the country achieve self-sufficiency and become a net exporter of refined oil products. Owned by Aliko Dangote, Africa's richest man, The $19 billion facility is the largest single-train oil refinery in the world, according to the Nigerian industrialist.
We have built a refinery with a capacity of 650,000 barrels per day of crude oil, plus 900,000 metric tons of polypropylene in a single train, which is the largest built ever.
This is the first privately owned crude oil refinery in Nigeria. Existing refineries, which suffer from operational inefficiencies, have failed to meet the growing demand for petroleum products. In 2022, Nigeria imported nearly 400,000 barrels per day of refined petroleum products. Currently, more than 80% of its refined petroleum products are imported, making it the largest importer on the continent. For some analysts, the Dangote mega refinery will be a game changer, since at full capacity, it is expected to increase fuel supply throughout Africa. Others, however, say its capacity could be limited by the massive oil theft that has caused crude oil production to plummet in recent months.
That does it for this episode of Business Africa. More news up next on Africanews. I'll see you soon.
Business Africa was presented by Turkish Airlines.